Welcome to Cranky Live Sports Talk, where passion meets action.
Hey sports fans, I am Cranky, and this is the Cranky Live Sports Talk, the podcast where we dive deep into the hottest topics, the biggest games, and the most controversial moments in sports.
Whether it's football, basketball, track and field, cricket, or soccer, we've got you covered with expert analysis, insider interviews, and unfiltered opinions.
Join me as I chat with the biggest names in sports, get exclusive insights and stories you won't hear anywhere else.
Cranky Live Sports Talk is where you can hear the real talk, the hard-hitting questions, and the hottest takes.
So, if you're a true sports fanatic, you don't want to miss out? Subscribe now to the Cranky Live Sports Talk on YouTube and hit that bell icon to never miss an episode.
Cranky Live Sports Talk, where sports come alive. Subscribe.
Good afternoon. Let me know if you can hear me. You know, I'm always asking for feedback on whether or not I'm coming through clearly. So let me know if you can hear me, people. We're here to talk World Cup Qualifier squad. Surprises or no surprises, that's what we expect, things of that nature. Well, hit up the like, tell me if you can hear me, people. I'll say, okay, good. Well, it was a interesting press conference. Number of good questions, but also some soliloquies and some dissertations that transpired. I find it interesting. But it was a good press conference. I think the coach was well prepared by Simon for some of these questions. And right away, we're getting perspective, people saying madness from squad selection. There are players who we expected and players who we may not have expected. I don't think there were any total surprise, I would say. In the selection, I think the Unity Cup gave you some view and some perspective as to who may or may not have been in the squad, who would have been added, who may not. Some of the more well-renowned footballers who play at the highest level, or used to play at the highest level, Bailey, who plays at the highest level, Gray, who plays out now in the Middle East. We're not surprised that they're in the squad, and there were some players missing. So what we'll do is I'll play the press conference. Some of you may or may not have heard it before. We'll listen to the press conference, and then we will decipher what was said. And hopefully you can hear the press conference because as I mentioned before, I'm on a new computer, well, a borrowed computer, and sometimes it doesn't come across well. So let me play the press conference. I'm gonna jump right into it. This stream is less than 2 hours. We're gonna play the press conference. We're gonna listen to it. You can provide your view and perspective. Before I do that, let me say, for those of you who are in the chat, I appreciate you being here. I know that One Love was here real early as usual. One Love, I know how you do it. But One Love always drop a nice comment real early before I even commence these streams. So One Love, Chorus, Fabi, DJ Gigs, Paul Watkins, Michael Woodburn, Tripoli, as usual. Thanks for being here. So let me go with replaying the press conference. If you can't hear it, let me know. And what I'll do is I'll play it and I try to put in my earpiece so you can sort of listen to it. All right, let's go through this. And by the way, I give credit to the JFF for the press conference. I don't want anyone to say I'm borrowing their materials permanently without giving them credit. So it's a JFF press conference, and I got it from, they provided to the media for distribution. Let me know if you can hear it.
All right, good morning, everybody. Thank you very much for being here. This is the squad announcement press conference for the World Cup qualifiers coming up.
You guys hear that? I want to make sure that you can hear before I do so, because if you can't, I'll have to play it and you just watch the video while listening to it. So let me know if you can hear it before I start. Let me know if you can hear it. Okay, good. So let's go.
In Guatemala, we're joined with the head coach of the Reggae Boyz, Coach Steve McClaren. We'll be putting the squad on the screen and also look ahead to the summer that we have on the horizon as well. So, Coach McClaren, good morning to you, sir. Hope you're doing well. And let me just put the squad on the screen so that all can see. All right.
What the hell happened here? Oh, okay. As you can see from the squad here, I'm not sure we had silence.
Okay, good morning, ladies, gentlemen.
Looking to hire someone to help you with your SEO?
This is funny. This came right from what was provided to us.
As
YouTube does their thing.
qualifiers. The squad is, as you see it, the additions from the Unity Cup are obviously Andre Blake, Jamali Waits, Latimer Dier, Damien Lowe, Mary Gray, Leon Bailey, Romario Williams, and Tyrese Campbell, who we've just taken from Charlton, done all the paperwork, and he's received his passport this week, so he joins us as well. We want to build on the Unity Cup. It was a great experience. The players did very, very well. And I think we made, in the way we want to play, big strides forward. I think scoring 5 goals in 2 games was a big plus, using the speed we have in the team. But the team was very well organised. Disappointing was obviously 4 goals in 2 games. But I got to say, from the beginning of the week to the end, the players were exemplary in their work. We started with 17, ended with 23, and they came in, created a great spirit, and I think you saw that in the games. And we want to carry that on to the World Cup qualifiers, and the obvious goals for this are to continue our way of playing and to get better at that. The key is to win the 2 games without a doubt, and then gain momentum going towards the Gold Cup later on in the month. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Coach. Much appreciated there. So, folks, what we're going to do now is open the floor for questions from members of the media. Please raise your hand, and once you're indicated, then you will be able to have your question posed to Coach McClaren. Okay, great to see the hands raised. Give us a moment, please. All right, let's start with Mark. Good morning, Mark. Go ahead.
Good morning. Thank you, Simon. Thank you, Coach, for all that you have done and are doing for Jamaica's national team. You know, we really appreciate it. Coach, from my perspective, it appears as if you are building a very competitive Jamaica's national team. Now, with the recent form of, John Russell, Isaac Aiden, with the other complement of midfielders that we have at our disposal, Coach, can you definitively say that with the perennial issues that we do have in our midfield, can you definitively say, Coach, that you are satisfied with what you have, or better yet, can you definitively say that our midfield problems are now fixed?
I wish I could say that. They're never fixed, always looking to improve. And but I got to say, Isaac Hayden has settled in very well, shows his experience, mature. I think, the big plus from the Unity Cup, or one of the big pluses, was the form of John Russell coming into that midfield. I think he came in our first camp, 6 to an 8, bit more freedom to get in the box. And that's what you saw last week. And it's made John Russell a different player, more effective. And that's a massive plus for us in terms of that. We missed Bobby Reid because I thought against St. Vincent, Bobby Reid provided great energy and tactical awareness and technique in that midfield. But I thought Casey did a great job. And, you know, we've got other players coming into that midfield. Am I satisfied with that? No, I think, you know, if we get injuries in that area, then we need greater depth. We've got that depth in majority of areas, but in terms of the names and the depth, then no, we haven't. So we're still searching and trying to get better in that area.
Thanks very much, Mark. Let's hear from Bryce. Good morning, Bryce. Go ahead.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
If you're looking to lose body fat and gain muscle and stay consistent, look no further. I have found it. This is the body.
Go ahead.
Okay. So Coach, one of the things and momentum that you had seen from the players, with you now bringing in a lot of the key names into the squad for the World Cup qualifiers, how do you build on that momentum to ensure that not only are the players from the Unity Cup bringing over that performance, but also the incoming players can gel well with those players as well in the squad?
Bryce, that's a great question. And that's what we'll be working on this week, especially because I think we found a few little gems last week, a different kind of way of playing. They're still creating our build-up, still wanting to do that. But in terms of maybe pressing higher and dropping, and we want to use the speed and make sure players are hungry to basically run behind defenders and also to run into the box, where if we do deliver crosses, we've got bodies in there. That's what I liked about last week in the two games, was the wide players, the front players, the energy that they provided, the work rate, the ethic, the teamwork, but also great ability in terms of being able to beat players, run behind players, use the speed, a defender's nightmare, and caused a lot of problems. So yes, you're absolutely right that the ones coming into the squad will endeavour to show them how we've progressed our game, how we've gone on a little bit. We talked about that in St. Vincent, the second game. I think they did it well. And we've got to build on that this week and going into these two games and momentum for the Gold Cup.
Thanks very much, Bryce. Mr. Taylor, good morning. Go ahead.
All right. Can you hear me, Simon?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. Good afternoon, Simon. Good afternoon, Coach. I want to say, Coach, congratulations. And from a fan perspective, I think the Unity Cup has really rallied the fans in the diaspora, and everybody was proud of the team, and we were proud of the performance from the first game. I don't think the finals really mattered to us. We saw what you were trying to do, and we think some great things happened there. Now to the football, Coach, we get down to the business end of stuff, World Cup qualification. We saw the positives in the Unity Cup, but we saw the same thing popping up again, that right back position. Some would say that Dexter Lambekisa had his last best game against Panama, has been going on loan at his club, hasn't been really playing that very competitive football, and we see him a bit off the pace sometimes. We have a player in Joel Latibodier who played the right back position at Swansea, played a little bit at Coventry, Mason Holgate as well at Everton. Have you ever considered, coach, maybe freeing up one of those center back spots to maybe give one of those experienced guys a run to basically make that position more competitive, coach?
You're absolutely right. We always need strength and depth. Dexter has been there. I like Dexter. I like his energy. And look in our team frame, it's important that we have one fullback going forward. And he's been that forward-thinking right back who's got the license to overlap. That's his strength. And I think you saw that especially in the Trinidad game. I thought he was excellent in that game. We did struggle a little bit on that right-hand side against Nigeria, where they outnumbered us a lot, and it took us a while to work that out. But we did. I think Kyle Ming has come in and been very solid when he's had to play. That's an option, but you're absolutely right. We've got Latti, who has played there occasionally, and Mason Holgate for Everton, which was many years ago. It's a specialist position. So we're searching for depth within that right back area. But I do like Dexter, and I think, okay, you can't be good at all aspects. And in our system and the way we play, he has to be good going forward, which generally he has been. And we continue with that. And we continue also to look at recruitments on the island and in Europe to give us that competition for that place.
Thanks, JT. Let's go to Manchester now. Jordan. Afternoon, Jordan. How are you?
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Coach. Good afternoon, Simon. Jordan James from Backpage Football. In the Unity Cup, Jamaica were very clinical and we took our chances very well. Has this specifically been a focus, and how can we maintain this moving forward?
You're absolutely right. It was a focus. We got speed in the wide areas, and we've created that speed down the middle with a 9. I think, Warner Brown coming into the team against St. Vincent showed us what we needed in that position. Burrell came in and had great energy and did the job what we wanted. Within the squad, we also have Mario Williams coming in, who is a little different than Warner and Rahman in the terms that he's more of a target. We might need his aerial height as well, the danger on crosses against the BVI. So I like the balance of the front players, but you're absolutely right. We worked a lot on using the speed of the front three, transitioning very quick. But the key is how many bodies you get into the box. And I think that's why we scored 5 goals. We were constantly, when we broke.
No offense, but if you're paying more than $50 per month on home insurance, you're getting ripped off.
And put balls into the box, we constantly had a minimum of 3 players within there. And that's what we said. Yeah, to score goals, you need bodies in the box, and we certainly got a lot more. So we need to build on that and make sure we never lose that and get better.
Cheers, Jordan. Mr. Blake, good morning to you, sir. Go ahead.
Good morning, Simon. Good morning, Coach. Good morning to the panel.
Mike.
It's like there's some leverage, some leeway, Coach, privately, but I want to do this publicly. I want to congratulate you, your technical staff, the support staff, the fans in England, everyone associated with the team and the performance at the Unity Cup. It was certainly one of the proudest moments as a Jamaican fan. From a result basis, from a performance basis, from the love that we saw on the field and the unity amongst the players that you seem to have garnered, and the team spirit that you seem to have worked on bringing. Congratulations to you and everyone involved. Congratulations to Simon. Excellent press conferences at the Unity Cup. So I have a question, Coach, for the AB, but Simon puts up the fan picture. Gave us goosebumps. I think that's what I told you, Coach, privately, but certainly gave us goosebumps here in Jamaica. But the question, Coach, I don't know if you provided explanations before, but I certainly like to ask about part A. Malik Madison saw from his cameo performance that was missing, that didn't make him make this spot. And if you can speak to omission of Shamar Nicholson, who has been a regular in the team over a long time, and C would be the missing of Bobby Reed and Ethan Pinnock. Can you shed any light on that, and are you concerned about those senior players missing? Thank you, Coach. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the introduction, and thank you very much for the, what was that, 10 questions within there?
Just 3. I'll do to you what you did to Nigeria.
Listen, yeah, it was Pinnock is not in this squad for personal reasons. Bobby Reed is injured at the present moment, having a scan in a couple of days, hopefully ups his training, wants to be involved in the Gold Cup. So we're leaving a space there for him for that. In terms of Mothersill, we've been watching him quite a while at Peterborough. We like him. He's very talented, very direct, which is what we're looking for. And he can play left side, 9, 10. So we like what in fact, he was going on holiday on the Thursday, and really he got all his papers through on his passport, and he wasn't available when I named the squad, but all of a sudden was available. So we just invited him in to train. And then we could put him on the bench because we had room. So really we just put him on the bench just for experience to train with us, be around us, sit. So for the Gold Cup, I think we can name 26 players. So he's one of them on the list of standbys. We'd have no hesitation in bringing him back in. Tyrese Campbell we followed, and we've wanted him in this squad, so he more or less can take his place. So we've got competition in them areas, and good competition. In terms of Shamar, when I got this job, I thought Shamar, I love Shamar. We had Antonio and Shamar, and we had 2 good numbers. Had an opportunity to in Shamar when he was in Russia. And what we see is, and one of the things from the very beginning was the first 3 camps, we noticed how many players were actually not playing in their club teams.
The chief executive.
We're not playing club together. We could see a fall and a drop off in performances from players who weren't playing regular. So, we analysed that in the Christmas period after the 3 camps. And we said that, and to the players, that you've got to be playing your fitness. So when you come, that you're not behind in any of that. And unfortunately, Shamar, he didn't play in Russia. He moved to Mexico. I think he played 2 games, and then was on the bench after that against. I was, and he was, and I think the majority of people watching were disappointed with the performance. And we spoke with Shamar and said that he has to play for his club. So since going back to Mexico, he didn't play. He was on the bench, and his season finished on the 20th of April. I think it's maybe starting again in pre-season now, but not starting. So that's quite a break, 20th of April until now. And it's a long break, and we felt the condition of Shamar at this present time wasn't up, and we can't bring him in camp to get him fit. You have to be fit when you come in camp, and I think that was the main principle of Shamar, that we didn't feel that coming he would be 100% fit. So it's up to Shamar. As I said from the beginning, I like Shamar. He's my kind of 9. He's big, strong, and can run in behind. Can hold the ball up and doing for his club. And without doubt, this is a big year. There's a big few months coming up. I know he's now working very hard and going back to Mexico and getting some form where he may be able to come back into the squad. But I think what we saw from Warner Brown and what we saw from Burrell at the weekend was that energy that 9s must now produce. And it showed the difference in terms of our intensity with and without the ball.
Thank you, Mr. Blake. Jason, please unmute. Go ahead.
Thank you, Simon. Afternoon, Coach. Afternoon, Simon. Just a question on the midfield. I saw in the Unity Cup, Isaac Hayden, I would say probably our only recognized 6 in the squad, played 180 minutes. I tracked him in his season at Portsmouth, and typically in the games, he would, start the games and come off in the 75th minute. I'm just asking, how confident are you in his durability over this summer? It's going to be a lot of games in his legs based on how I see you have picked the squad. And also, what is the contingency plan if we do have to, spell some minutes for Isaac?
That's what we're working on, a contingency plan. You're absolutely right. It was important to get a recognised 6. Talking to Hayden, he's a 6 and an 8 and a 10, so he can play all positions, but he's mature. So he plays 6 very disciplined and simply. And you're absolutely right. We need more depth there. So, we have to keep him fit. But the games were that close and tight that we couldn't afford to lose him in the 2 games in the Unity Cup. So yes, we have to make sure that we, 1, keep him fit, and 2, we're looking recruitment-wise and looking at others who can maybe play a 6 when he's not available.
Thanks, Jason. Mr. Spence, go ahead. Good morning.
Thanks, Simon. Good morning, Coach. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Good morning.
Coach, this squad is missing a few senior players in Antonio, Reed, and Pinnock. And there are more players expected to come in with very good championship and/or Premier League pedigree. You've spoken highly periodically of the potential in the squad. And this is a more macro question, but when you have your full complement of players, what, in your honest opinion, is the gap between where we are and where we need to be consistently compete what I consider the big 5, US, Mexico, Canada, Costa Rica, and Panama?
It's a very, very good question. and something which is a little unknown, especially for myself, because I can't say we've talked about the different squads that are each camp, and not had a settled team with a lot of players, and we're looking for youth, exuberance, energy, attitude.
To generate your own leads at cost through social.
And we're trying to build on that, what we saw in the Unity Cup. So, yes, we have Prem players missing, players. And, hopefully we can continue our progress in terms of how we want to play, and use our energy and our speed to do that. And especially we had to cope and adapt with a very good Nigerian team. And yeah, it's the way forward. And everybody with 8 players who are joining us must, take the lessons from last week, and take the team forward and improve it in what it can do.
Good morning, Coach. Good morning, Simon. Good morning, everyone. Love the vibes at the Unity Cup. You see the mixture of players, Burrell coming in and doing well. But in terms of some clarity, Coach, with the likes of Mali Mothersill and his non-selection, if it is documentary, and was this squad selected prior to the Unity Cup?
Yeah, more or less. More or less, there was always opportunity. But as I said, with the Unity Cup, it was very difficult to pick a squad, people falling out. We had 17 at the beginning. And as I said, we just, I think the week before, acquired Mothersill's passport. So all of a sudden he became available. He was going on holiday. And we just asked him, look, before you go, do you want to come in for a couple of days? He did. And all of a sudden we didn't fill the spots, and there were spots to fill. And we asked him just to stay along and gain experience and come on the bench, which he did. And in the end, we needed him on the field. So we need to look at Malik a lot more closely. And we may have the opportunity to do that in the Gold Cup over hopefully a longer period. So yeah, that's, I think we gave people opportunity, and I think the people who came in have taken that.
Thank you, CC. Just 2 more. Mr. Legister, good morning.
Yes, good morning, Simon, and good morning, Coach. Coach, you touched on something about players not being on form, right? Now, after the Unity Cup, how are you going to balance the inclusion of standout fringe players from the Unity Cup with returning overseas professionals who are not on form for the World Cup qualifiers, such as Leon Bailey and Demarai Gray?
Yeah, that's the job we have to do this week. It's the job we had to do last week, because we had many 6 or 7 players who hadn't played for 3 weeks in the championship. We had JPL players who had played in a playoff final, 120 minutes and a penalty shootout, and jet lag coming over. And so the squad wasn't in very good condition when it came, and when we all got together on the Sunday, Monday. So they did remarkable to do what they did, and we have to integrate these other players coming in whose seasons finished over a week ago, though that will be easier to do that. But let's not forget, at the beginning of that week, when we had all the problems with integrating players coming in, new players given an opportunity, we didn't have the likes of Warner Brown, which we wanted in the squad. We didn't have the likes of Dwayne Atkinson, who we wanted in the squad, until the very last day when they were brought in on the Thursday and the Friday. So last week was, if you'd have seen it off the field, it was a little bit of mayhem. But credit to the players who came together, joined in and created a great spirit. And that's what we expect this week when the likes of, Leon, Dimmy, Romario, Latti and Blakey and Jamali and Tyrese come into the squad. We want them to raise the bar. And that's what we said last week. And this is what we'll say this week. We have to raise the bar from a question earlier to get close to the US, Mexico and Canada. Well, we definitely have to raise the bar a lot.
Thank you. Lastly, Daniel Blake, you have the last question this morning. Go ahead.
Hi, good morning, Coach and Simon. Coach, you spoke about Shamar not necessarily being in form and, being in a competitive position. But just recently you spoke about the difficulty of not including Ravel because of the league that he plays in and so forth. He obviously then went into the Unity Cup team. Not saying that you can guarantee any player a spot in the squad, but because of his unique abilities and maybe a lack of that type of player in the pool, is he more important to the squad than probably expected?
Every single summer I hear guys swearing off alcohol.
Who, Shamar or Ravel?
Ravel, knowing that, he just a few weeks ago, it was, you saying that he was not playing in a very competitive league and that you weren't seeing a lot of him. So now that he has been included again, is his value to the squad more important than probably even you expected?
Look, I know Ravel really well. Worked with him at Derby, so I know him really well. And I've always think he's been top person. And that's why we brought him in for the US. Unfortunately, it was only 2 or 3 days, but you could see his integration within the squad, and he was well liked. We did the same again with Unity when really we did with Thursday, Friday coming up. We had 14, 15 players, and we reached out to Ravel. Asked him if he wanted to come out, and of course he was on the next flight over. I liked his attitude training. He was good around the young players. He was good around the squad. He brought something different to us, and I've got no hesitation including him for the World Cup qualifiers because he came in and he improved the atmosphere, improved the quality of training, and improved the team. And against the BVI, who we may need a little bit more creativity, and that's something a little bit different and special, Ravel certainly got that. So, we're delighted with that. And I've told him in the future, and he's trying, he's got to get playing in closer to home, in a better quality league. And, there's still an opportunity and can still be a future for Ravel. He knows now what he must do, which is ideal. And what impressed me was he was on the next flight, came over, and he was a real positive around the squad, the young players who were coming in. And that's why we've kept him in the squad.
Daniel, thank you very much. Coach, thank you very much. Members of the media.
Can you guys hear me? My computer is acting up. Interesting press conference. Let me know if you can hear me, people. Bless up, Tuffy Rudy, Tycoon. Interesting press conference, I would say. Typical fan. I can see from the chat. First of all, people, we have over 180, 190, 200 people, and we have 75 likes. You guys didn't even like the press conference. Is that what it is? I hope you like me then, or like what I'm gonna say, because that number of likes here is just not acceptable. 77 out of 204. Come on, people, do better. Interesting. I got some texts from some people who are very upset about the squad, especially the theme I get is mother cell exclusion, actually. So let's go through the squads. Let me touch on a few things first, because I think what's important is to think about who was selected and who was not selected, the overall squad in its totality, and my perception of the squad. Some of the comments I see, especially from Jay. James seems very passionate about what he deems to be not the most transparent, egalitarian process to achieve what deemed to be the best squad. So we should all admit, I'm having some throat problem, people. Maybe I talk too much. We should all admit that we will never have consensus among the fans base about who is included in any squad. You watch the England team, you watch the US team, it's the same thing. Any country you have, there's going to be 3 or 4 players people should think should be in, and 4 they should think should not be in the squad. So let's go to this list. So we have 12 of the 22 players, and maybe I can try to find a way to pull this up. 12 of the 22 players have been, for lack of a better word, they're locally born players, and therefore I'm going to make the association that they're locally developed, even though some people would say, well, Bailey wasn't developed in Jamaica, for example, but he left there as a teenager, right? We'll play in Europe. So let's call them locally born and developed players. So the Maverick of the world, the leaders of the world, because I heard leader on our channel, were all pushing for this concept of balance. They're getting their balance, or what I deem to be unbalanced, frankly. Because if your balance of a squad is around the composition of where someone was born, then your balance is not about performance around the field. Your balance is about how I distribute the allocation of places in the squad, not about, well, are the best players being selected? So they've got their balance, right? 12 of 23. So more locally born than overseas born players. That's not debatable. Here it is clear. And go count it. 3 goalkeepers, a couple of defenders, a forward placed as a midfielder. Lord help us. And then a bunch of forwards who are there. The one thing I find interesting is that, and this would have been a big issue, people, I'm telling you, because I know this, even in England, if Dixon was picked over Tyrese Campbell, it would not have gone down well. Right? And if you think about Charlton, you would have asked the question, which is, how can a person who's on the 21 team and a few times on the bench play over a regular starter? So there's politics everywhere. And people are going to say, well, Cranky comes as normal, casting aspersion on the selection process, and on the team and on the coach. The facts are the facts. It's not debatable, right? So if the balance is what people are looking for, then you got the balance. So let's not complain about balance anymore, right? There's no balance anymore. Now, I don't want to beat any individual player, because that's not what I'm here for. The player got selected. The coach thinks he's good enough. I shouldn't say she. But let's think about who were left out and who were included. So K-Roy Anderson, and my issue with whether it should be left out or not. K-Roy Anderson, not included. He's on the bench for Charlton. One could say, well, how does Dixon play and he doesn't play? They're in different positions. But we needed more midfielders. We don't need as much forward. We have too many forwards. We need more midfielders. That's my view, actually. Anyway, the big one, let's go to the easier ones first. So I could see why K-Roy get left out. He hasn't been great for us. He hasn't been great for Charlton, but he's a good player. But he's in his team over Dixon. He's going to play a different position. That's not debatable. Shamar Nicholson, I think that's easy. Watch him in the Copa America previous to last year. Watch him more recently. He doesn't look like he's in shape, and he doesn't look like he's in form. And it's hard to pick someone who's not going to help you win. And Shamar's been great for the country. His goal scoring record cannot be debated. But he's out of form, and he's out of favor with the coach. Can't argue that. No pin-up. I don't understand what personal reasons mean. And let me say this, and people are going to beat me for this. Pinnock have too many personal reasons. Sorry. I don't know what they are, but he has too many personal reasons. And people may not like me saying that. I'm going to call it like I see it. Some players have too many personal reasons. Now, some of them say, Crank, you don't know what the situation is? Well, coach, provide more clarity because it's not clear to me what that means. What does personal reason mean? That means I'm tired? Does that mean I've been injured, I'm recovering, I don't want to play? This is a World Cup qualifier. This is not just Gold Cup. That's my view on that. Brandon Cover. I don't understand how Brandon Cover, who can play multiple positions, including right back, wasn't picked over, say, a Ming. Let me call names, to be clear. I don't understand that. Seriously, I don't. Even though he's a midfielder by trade, but he can play right back. Lati can play right back. We have other cover. So I don't understand that. And last but not least is Mothersill. Now, the coach's explanation of Mothersill is very confusing. I don't know what the coach was saying. Tyrese Campbell just got his papers. Tyrese Campbell didn't play in the Unity Cup. Tyrese Campbell is a good player. I'm advocate for Tyrese in the squad. But the explanation about him just getting his passport, at least he was in the Unity Cup. Tyrese just got his. This roundabout circular explanation makes no sense to me. Let's stop playing games, coach. I know you have to be political sometimes, but stop the game nonsense. Okay? Mothersills is a regular player in his team. I like Dixon, but Dixon is not. And so, I don't know how Romario Williams got here. I understand how Warner Brown got here. I don't know how Romario Williams got here. Now, people say, Crank, you don't follow some of the other leagues. But I follow some of these people enough and what's happening enough to provide a view of informed perspective. So I got really strong communication from people, texts about Mothersill. Even in the chat here we're seeing. People don't understand how Mothersill is excluded and some of the players are included. Whether it's Romario Williams, whether it's Dixon, people don't understand it. Dixon didn't do poorly in the Unity Cup. Dixon did well. But we have to be fair about how we're assessing people. So some of the selections, and people say they're on the fringe. I have no idea how we make those selections. I don't know what the criteria is. I don't know what the rationale is. It doesn't make any sense to me. J. says, look cranky. This guy, no, that's not it. He said, look like this guy's been influenced. Somebody's forcing a number of players in his team. Now, every coach who, I don't know if that's the case or not, right? So I can't cast aspersion. Let me just say this. I think every single coach who coached Jamaica has to deal with the politics and trying to be influenced by some others in the JFF about who to play. Go talk to them, go ask them, go look at what John Barnes says, go look at what Tapa said. You know, Tapa said he's picking his own team, really Tapa. Go look at what I've heard about Hagrimson. Some of my frustration was there's always trying to be influenced about who you should pick. And sometimes it becomes clear. Let's think about surprises in the team. So those were people who were left out. And the one there, I think, is overwhelming. People are concerned about or confused about. And this is where we lose young players, is Mothersill. Now, if you're Mothersill, you're saying, if I can play for England, why should I come play for Jamaica? Because you're selecting A, B, and C over me, and they don't necessarily have the pedigree or the playing time or the form where they should play over me. So why is that the case? That's why you lose young players. Let's go to surprises. Kyle Ming. I'm surprised. I'm sorry. I'm surprised about Kyle Ming. Didn't expect this. Played in the Unity Cup. Nothing, but I'm surprised. Dwayne Atkinson. Sorry. I don't see how he got in the team. Didn't get much time in Unity Cup. I know the coach says he came late. I know he plays good for Cavaliers, but there's levels to this game. Real levels to this game, right? So I don't know. Kaim Dixon. I think Kaim was always going to be on the fringe, and the coach seemed to like him. Doesn't give him a lot of time when we play with the full team. Played well enough in the Unity Cup, scored in the Unity Cup. But I think the question would be about Romario, Kaim, and Mothersill. Romario Williams, I don't know enough about Romario. I've seen him play. I'm not sure he was so exceptional. He has to be here versus Mothersill, but he's locally born. And Warner Brown, I have no problem with Warner Brown, actually. May sound strange me saying that in his JPL. I liked him against St. Vincent in both games. I thought he showed enough to warrant more look, even over some players who, one may say, have more pedigree. Right? So those are the players. And as I said before, every fan has their favorite. Every fan has their view about who should play or not play. Yeah, Michael, Brandon got no minutes. I don't think, here's my view on this. And I'll keep saying this for a while. I think the coach is getting better in knowing the players, but he's not where he needs to be. Not as a coach. In terms of knowing all his players, all their good attributes, all their skill sets, all their strengths, all the areas of development. I don't think he does. And one thing he doesn't do, he doesn't answer questions. Jesus Lord. Now, I know Simon is doing his job and he's protecting the coach, but he doesn't answer questions. Every question you ask, you just walk away saying, why am I even here? That's why I said to myself, I shouldn't go to any more press conferences. It's a waste of my time. If I ask a question, if it's A, don't tell me it's, well, maybe C, D. No, answer the question. If I say, where are we in comparison to the US? When you bring your full complement, you know what? We still have a way to go. Or you know what? I think we're getting closer. Say something that aligns with what the person's asking you. We all have busy schedule enough. We all have things to do. We're not coming here to waste time. We don't want to waste your time, coach. But you don't ask a question, and it's frustrating. And we only get one question. We can't even follow up the question. Because we used to get 2 questions, now we get 1 question. And when I say I'm not going to go to the press conference, people beat me and say, Cranky, you have to go. I'm like, why? It's not fun for me in an environment where I spend time thinking about my question. You know, I'm going to tell you people, here are my questions that I have. I'm going to tell you my questions. I had a bunch of them. And this is not even all of them, because I narrowed it down. I was going to ask a question about him being in the stands, and did it give him a better perspective and view as to the field and player and their attributes? Why was he in the stands? Because a lot of people asked me that question. And beating him, and I was not beating him. I was on the opposite side, right? So why go in the stand versus this? I was going to ask him about players like Presser asked him, which is more around, are some players in the squad because he trusts them and they're mature, regardless of their form, which is what Presser asks, versus someone who may be informed but more younger, right? And also going to ask him about the fans and how fans sort of think about the team, and do the fans pressure him to add player, because he had rather, and it seemed like the pressure came from very many quarters. I had a bunch of questions to ask, but we only get 1 question, and you got to make that question count when you get it, because you can't even ask a follow-up if he doesn't answer it the right way. But the JFF, I don't know if the JFF influenced the coach or what, but when you look at the squad sometimes, we have the coach told us, I find this really interesting. The coach told us, what was it, last week or week before last, that in the JPL, the education system is not there, the technical ability is not there. We are only just quick and committed and fast. But then when he picked his team, and you have a platitude and a volume of players to pick from, the team is balanced in terms of local versus diaspora, right? But that's okay. That will change, because the players who are coming, you can't leave them on the squad. When you have another 3, 4, maybe EPL players and maybe 1 or 2 championship players coming in, that's a different discussion, people. There will be no ambiguity. Modesty may be an ambiguity, because he's not playing EPL championship. He's playing a lower league, even though he's doing well. When you have next example, let's throw this out there. Maybe not for this window, but maybe in the window. If Mason Green would come in, he's an automatic starter. Somebody in that list you have there have to go sit down. Now, I want all the players to compete and to do well. I want competition for places. I don't want anybody's game to be assured, right? I don't want anyone to have assurance that they have a God-given game that they should have because they have a certain name and they have certain brand, because you know what? Form is important, right? Someone is saying, no way, I should be selected over Norman Campbell. I don't want to focus on, I want to focus on how we think about the football and how we are operating as a country, and are we picking the best team that satisfies what the coach wants to do, or is there undue influence in the team? Now, I must admit, I'm surprised Ravel is here. I'm surprised Ravel is here. The midfield is sparse, right? Look at the midfield, it's sparse. We need more midfielders. Jason Guna asked a brilliant question, which is, we only have 1-6. If Hayden get injured, what the hell do we do? Isn't that what a Brandon Cover would do? Who's the replacement? Versus Atkins, who is not a midfielder. How do we force Atkins in the midfield? He's not a midfielder because we have too many forwards we want to pick. And more than half the forwards are locally developed or born. And when we say there's quota in the national team, and I get cursed out that there's no quota, and we're causing aspersion on JFF, and we're lying, and we're toxic, and then you people who come here and say they're nonsense. And you're like, tell me explain to me, when you look at this team, if there's not a quota system. Now, the team is the team. We got to think about, does this team have a chance? Because I'm concerned about Guatemala. I am concerned about Guatemala. I'm not concerned about BVI, obviously. Right? I mean, if you look at the starting team, some players pick themselves, like Hayden and Blake. And I'm sure Bailey and Gray gonna pick themselves, even though I don't think one or both of them deserve their place, to be honest. Tyrese plays on the same side as Cephas, so Cephas will start. I have no problem with Cephas starting over Tyrese, even though Tyrese is playing good football. And on the right-hand side, I'm sure Bailey will probably start. So where's Gray going to play? He's going to force him in the 10? So that means you got to bench Casey Palmer then. It's going to be interesting how he pick his team. And here's another thing too. When more players come in, those people whose games are short, that's going to change. As I said yesterday, we only have 5 short players in this team, to me, in the next window at a minimum. It's Blake in goal. It's Pinnock at center half, and I still don't understand why Pinnock is not here. It's Hayden in the 6. It is Mason, if he comes in. And I'm going to go out on a limb and say Cephas. You know, some people beat me for saying that and think I'm crazy. Cephas over Gray or Cephas over Tyrese, but I think there's 4 guaranteed to me, and Cephas is on the bubble about being guaranteed. That's my view. And I'm just taking hints from the coach about how he thinks, about how he operates, about how he views players. And sometimes it's hard to discern how he does this. Come people, hit the like button. We only have 141. At least 200 likes, we should have people. Come on, I quickly try to get you this information. You know, people, while I'm in the press conference, I'm busy putting together this stream. I need some credit for that, people. Come on, I'm trying to get you, like what Dre used to call breaking news. I'm trying to get you breaking news as quickly as possible so we can have the dialogue when it's fresh in our minds. And when we are frustrated, when some of us are frustrated and some of us are happy. Some people are happy about the team. Some are frustrated. Oh, this is funny. One just driver says, let me put this up, people. Is my thing acting up? My system is acting up. I don't know why. I hate not having my own computer, you know. When I finally get it, I'll put it up. I think someone's making a comment about Cephas and the great Cephas. Yeah. So Stefan says, Cranky, the problem is that not about personal selected, but more around the reason for player selection. Yeah, it's frustrating, right? So, yeah. So Reggae Boyz blogger is now being more reasonable. Says, yes, I'm nervous about Guatemala squad. Guatemala always plays tough, even with yes. Guatemala, Honduras, and El Salvador play tough. And the squad doesn't give me the biggest comfort, I'll be honest. Especially the form of Bailey and Gray, who may be automatic starters now. Who does he play in the 9, for example? I don't know. Right now, I don't know. I think Cephas will play left. I think Bailey will play right. He'll play Gray in the 10. He'll play probably Burrell up front or Brown up front. He'll have Hayden the 6. He may have Russell in the 8. That means Casey Palmer go to the bench. And the defense is going to have Lowe and Holgate, I think, even though he likes King a lot. On the left, he has Bell. And on the right, he should have Lati Badier. It's probably not even that difficult a squad to pick, except for maybe the center forward. Lati Badier, to me, is our best defender. Period. Amongst everybody in the team, including Pinnock to me. Now, you guys may think I'm out of my mind. I have a chance to watch Lati up close and personal 2 or 3 times. I think he's our best defender. I like Pinnock, but Pinnock is a little bit slow nowadays. Brilliant in terms of reading the game. But I think Lati is underrated in the defense. In the midfield, Lati is not a midfielder. It's very obvious. But he's hard to go by defensively, and he has great positional awareness. And because he's played midfield, he also has ball composure. Ravel, I don't think he's not starting. If he didn't start Ravel in the UC Cup, I don't think he's going to start Ravel. He didn't give Ravel any game against the US when he came to the US. He didn't start Ravel in the Unity Cup. I don't think he's going to start Ravel. I think you see Ravel as an X factor, who you could bring in to slow down the game, maybe speed up the game, get you composed if you're ruffled, but I don't see him as, he's not a starter. Yeah. Flavor Max, wait 1 second. Flavor Max says, Cranky, the team remains the same apart from Blake and Bailey. What team you're talking about, Flavor Max? You say the Unity Cup team? I think Gray, no, he'll play Gray. He'll play Gray. I think he'll play Gray. He played Gray in the 10. He's trying to force his best players in the team, and they may not fit really well. Last game he played Gray in the 10, right? But Gray doesn't play enough defense. He's not as mobile. But he's as mobile, but doesn't go back as much as Palmer, even though Palmer is not the best defender. Yeah, Upbeat. I agree, Upbeat. Upbeat, I can't fight that, actually. There's a lot of personal. Now, let's see if he goes to the Gold Cup, but I don't know what the story is. But Pinnock have a lot of personal reasons. It's a fact, people. You have to call it when you see it. You can't hide. You can't be a hypocrite. You can't beat certain people for certain things and don't beat other people. That's not fair. I said it before. There's a lot of personal reasons for Pinnock. I don't like personal reasons, people. For a reason why people. If your personal reason is your wife is having a baby or you're sick, that's not a personal reason. You're sick. If they say personal reason, that's coding for something else. It's like when we had Antonio going to Ghana, can't come to play against the US. Really, Antonio? Those things are not okay, people. I'm not buying it. I don't care where you're from or where you sit or your pedigree. That's irresponsible. That's lack of accountability. And when I beat people like Antonio, people lose their mind. I'm going to tell people, get over yourself. No player is above criticism. None. If they don't act in accordance with certain protocols and the right way to operate, I'm going to call them out. You may not like it, but yeah. I'm not saying he's not committed, Tycoon, but I need to know what the personal reason is before I draw a conclusion. J. Russ said I should read his last comment. Where are you, J. Russ? J. Russ, you may have to drop it again now. Can't see. I cannot see. J. Russ. Okay. J. Russ says, I feel like the coach was given some names that has to be in the squad that he picked. Hey, J. Russ. Yeah, that's obvious. I don't know if he was given him to pick, but I think he's influenced. A Spendan, no Spendan. He left his vacation to me or put it off to come to the Unity Cup. You think if we have World Cup qualifiers, he wouldn't come? Are you crazy? There are players who are told to stay on standby, like when you play for England, for example, and drop everything that you have to come to the team. Now, some players deliberately make sure they can't be contacted. I don't think this is the case. I think he just didn't pick him. And I think the rationale for not picking him is nonsense. Yeah, I don't know what his story is, Jay. And look, he's an older player, right? So sometimes when you're older, you have to manage your body. And he's been pretty injured a lot. So maybe he's just saying, look, my body can't take the travel and the pressure at this point because he's been injured this year, let's be honest, right? But I still don't like the personal reason stuff. I'm uncomfortable with personal reason. People, please hit the like button. Come on, people. I know some of you come to the channel and watch it and you're not going to subscribe or like. I understand that. But those of you who like the content, please subscribe and please hit the like button. And also please share the content. Yeah, the Monticello thing doesn't make any sense to me. The Monticello thing, I think he was going around in circle on Monticello, right? The kid got his papers. He probably got his papers for Tyrese Campbell. So you pick Tyrese, who has not played for the Reggae Boyz. You pick Monticello for Unity Cup, and you don't pick him for this. So then you're saying you prefer Tyrese versus Monticello. And then you pick Romario Williams and Brown and others versus Monticello. And Monticello can play across the front line. It doesn't make sense. And most people who contact me, they're upset about Monticello. Charles Brumman said, what does influence mean? I think you should check with the dictionary. I'm sorry, Charles. I don't want to be rude, but influence could be anybody in the JFF who has influence, right? It's not the president. We know that. I don't think it's the board either. The other people who have influence in the JFF, who makes decisions sometimes, it's not rocket science to figure out what that is. Come on, people. My man says, Cranky, what's our best forward depth in general? Would you say if everyone fit who remains worth 6 or 7? We won't know our best forward depth until December this year. Let me say that again. I will tell you this. If all the players come in who I expect to come in, I'm not fearing any team outside the top 3, actually. to be honest. If all the players come in who I expect to come in, I tell you, my question to the coach wasn't some random question I come up with it. Because I preface my question by saying, given who we have and who is coming, and you know who's coming at some point, can we compete with the Big Five? Right? If we get all the players I expect us to get, I am not fearing Panama or Costa Rica. I'm just not. If the coach pick the right people and don't play no games, I am not fearing any team. So I may say cranky, cohesion needs to be improved, cohesion, camaraderie, team chemistry. People, it's about quality. So Real Madrid is how Real Madrid is. You get the best players in the world, you put them together, they figure it out. Real Madrid, you think, what's his name is the best coach in the world? He's not Ancelotti. To me, he's not. Or Zidane. They have the best players. They put them together, they get cohesion, they know what they're doing, they're professionals, they get it done. These are international windows and national teams. You don't have a lot of time to mold them like Arteta would do for Arsenal. Need a bad example because we don't win anything. But I do think that if all those players come in, which is what? A left back, a right back, forward, midfielder, and one whether I don't know what position he plays. I know he's coming. And they are quality people. Quality. Now, we need two more midfielders. And the two players I like, who I've heard anything about, so I'm not trying to create rumor. I like Dwight McNeil and I like Ramsey from Villa. And I haven't heard anything about them. So my hope is that the coach and whoever doing the recruiting, like Devon, keep pushing and pushing. Because those people, if those two come in, I don't fear anybody in CONCACAF, including the big three. I don't. Now, you need backup for every position. But the people we have now are competent backups. But the point of the matter is this. We can't keep picking team based on quota. Because the technical director of the technical committee chair says the national team has no quota. The national team has no quota. That's what he says, the national team has no quota. Do you truly believe that? Anybody in their right mind, do you truly believe that? Yes, thanks, Elgar Gennaro. People, please smash up the like button because I want a lot of people to watch this. Someone says bad comparison, class are different. I don't know about that. I saw a comment here I want to bring up. Say last World Cup, we got Antonio and Kimar Roof informed but got destroyed at Panama. Coaching football, especially international, is very important. No, it was COVID time. It was a total mess. Tapa, there was dissension in the camp. In Tapa, you just pick up a bunch of players and just throw them out there. The players come to a new environment. They're playing in CONCACAF. They have a football field, which is a grass field. Not grass field, a horse field. Go look at the Brentford Stadium. They're playing on a horse field. It was KM. They had no leadership. Tapa was leading them. Tapa was trying to prove a point. That's not a good comparison. Poor comparison, actually, to be honest. I got to say that, BM, it's not a good comparison. If you have, like when I went around the squad in Dallas, for example, you can tell the players down there like each other when we were under Hallgrimsson. They engaged really well. They played really well against the US. The US is a better team. You can have that in the team, especially when they want to play for the country, which is very obvious with the diaspora players. You hear what Burrell said. You hear what fans said. You hear the fan support. We all want the same thing. The best team on the field and one Jamaica, not 10, 11 Jamaica, not England, US, Holland, all over the place, different and have different views and perspective. I don't want a monolith in terms of how we think, but I want a monolith in terms of how we engage and how we're supporting the team. Some of us support this team. In fact, I probably go into Jamaica, go watch them next week, actually. I probably go to the game and watch them next week. If I can work some things out, I'll probably be there to watch the game live because I do want to see some things live. But I would also say, and you know what? I'm not overly perturbed about this squad. I am perturbed and concerned about Guatemala. And that's why I think we should give ourselves the best chance to win. I think we have enough to do well. But if someone has to close about the midfield, the coach still not comfortable with his midfield. Probably not comfortable with some part of his defense too. The forward line is getting very, very crowded. But there's no Antonio there, right? There is no Antonio there. There is no what I want to say, the forward who we all been talking about, Greenwood there. And Antonio and Greenwood are probably automatic starters in this team. So only the left wing be open unless he force somebody in the 10. So it's going to be interesting when he has all his players, a complement available, how he pick his team. He must also understand that if we lose to Guatemala, we're going to be in a zone with Costa Rica and Panama. That's not good. Matt Neal is, when Matt Neal played at Burnley, he played on the left wing. But if you notice, he played in a hybrid position for Everton. He's playing the 8, and he plays left wing. He can play 8 or left wing. So he's not, when he first started out, it was just pure left wing. Then he replaced Gray at Everton. Then they put him in the 8, and he's been exceptional. His crossing, his shooting, he's just quality, right? And Ramsey would probably play in a similar position, but they could play a 4-3-3 without playing a traditional 10 and do like what Man City does. De Bruyne and Silva and Rodri. That is, people say De Bruyne is a 10. No, he's playing a hybrid. So I think that would work really well for Jamaica if you have a Ramsey and a McNeil along with Hayden. I think Hayden's position is secure. We don't have any other 6 I can think about. And Hayden has played well for us as he gets more. He has got a lot more game time where he is in League One. He's not back to his best form because he's not as mobile as he used to be, but he's a very smart player, a very headed player. So I would expect that when he gets full complement of players, that he may have to get rid of the politics actually, because he will not look good if he plays politics with these players when he gets full complement. Zabad says, Cranky, the Dominican Republic has better goal difference than us. If they beat Guatemala and Guatemala beat us, we are out of the World Cup. No, we're playing BVI. Don't forget that, Zabad, 80. We're playing BVI. That should be a lot of goals. We're playing BVI. We should have a lot of goals. Unless we're just joking like we did against Dominica. Right? But we're playing BVI, so I expect us to score a lot of goals. Come, people, I need to get over 200 likes. We need 18 more. Come on, if you haven't done so, that means 119 hasn't hit the like button. Come on, people. You have about 300 in the chat. Please hit the like button. So Michael Sawyer says, which is a fair point, support the team select to give the players some love. We love the players, Michael, but we'd be hypocrites if we didn't express our perspective and views, because this is not only for today, Michael Sawyer. This is for going forward. We want the best teams. Doesn't mean we're not supporting. As I said before, I may be going to Jamaica to go support the team. Right? Live, not Memorex, not remotely. So if I go to Jamaica to support the team, I can't even do my stream, which is the best time for us who do Reggae Boyz content. People don't understand that. It's not going to the games the best time. The best time is when we're here and we get a lot of views. But if I have a chance to go to the game, I'm going to go to the game. All right? Flavor Max said, the Unity Cup team beating everybody. Yeah, I mean, look, the performance against Nigeria was extremely encouraging, people. Dixon, Cephas, Borrell. I was not as high as Russell as some people. The first game, he was brilliant. Second game, I think he was against a better team, was so-so. Palmer, after the first 20 minutes. Hayden was great throughout. Holgate and King surprised me. Bell played well. I think Dexter struggled, frankly. Coach say like Dexter. Dexter struggled, even though I like Dexter. Cephas was very, very good. So, yeah, but the question for us is, it's a different region, different opponent, not as much respect as we're going to get in some areas. So it's a different game. No, Rob, come on. People in the chat. Let me just say this, people in the chat. No, let me just go back to Rob Smith. Because I think people in the chat, we have to be very fair. The people who are in the press conferences get one question. One question. Now, if we have 300 people in the chat and you have 300 questions and your favorite question doesn't get asked, and you have 15 people in the press conference, come on, it's hard to do. I understand the view on certain players, but the coach doesn't probably know about Junior Fleming's Rob Smith. That's where the assistant coaches and those around him give him information about who should be considered. He selected Romario Williams. Somebody got told him about Romario. He probably seen him before in a previous squad, but somebody got to give him that information. Brando is possible. It's possible, right? Anything is possible. I don't disagree with you, Brando. Anything is possible. We don't know. We don't know. What I would say, though, is that for some of the players who were excluded, a Brandon Cover, a Mothersill, for example, and then we include a Ming, and we include a Busy Atkinson, and put him in a midfield, Brando. People, when does Busy Atkinson play midfield? Does he play the 8? Does he play the 10? Does he play the 6? Right? Really? Yeah. So I don't know. Look, I don't want to cause this person a player. I don't like doing this because it is why. Players don't pick themselves. So we sometimes are unfair, including yours truly, with players, and we say, well, I don't think this player should be there. But we have to do that comparison, because if one player got in and one didn't, that player who didn't get in is very, very hurt and feel that things are unfair and may not want to come back, especially when they got to fly 9 hours, come here, and they get no game time, or they don't even get picked at all. When they went through the process of trying to get the papers, they went through rims and rims of flying to Jamaica, go pick up your passport, and it took a while to get there. And then they're like, it wasn't worth it because these people didn't pick me and I'm better than this person. Now, it's subjective if you're better than the person or not. But, yeah. Yeah, Rob Smith, but the player in the third tier of UAE is not a normal everyday player. Let's come on, Rob Smith. Let's be fair. The player in the third tier of UAE is not there just because of his ability or lack of ability. Let's be fair. He is a player who gets requested more than any other player in the Jamaican national team. Let me say this again. When players get excluded, Ravel is the one player, and I've had tons of people reach out to me to say, why is Ravel in the team? Why do we call Ravel? Ravel is better than this player. Is Russell better than Ravel? Is Case Palm better than Ravel? Ravel can play all those positions, you know. So I think Ravel has been getting a little bit of a raw deal so far, actually. But as the coach says, he's not being disruptive in the camp, because Ravel normal knock is he doesn't go along with the program. Well, the coach is saying the opposite, unless he's not being totally truthful. No, I'm flying. I'm actually out of town, so I am flying. I've flown. I got to fly tomorrow. You know, it's not a good feeling for me, but no, I'm gonna fly. I'm not doing a jet ski. Rasim said the most difficult part of the Jamaican national team is not that's why it's leaving the JPL. It may be because the lack of respect is there. So if you're a JPL player and you're an exceptional player, but it's hard to discern your ability because you play locally and people may not have the same respect for the league, that's a fair point. Can't argue with that. So that's why people are saying Junior Fleming should be considered. But I think Flemo had some issues apart from football. That's what I've heard, actually. I heard Flemo have issues apart from just football. Now, he may be frustrated about his performances and not being in the team, but, you know, if you don't leave a good taste in people's mouth, and I want to cast this person, I mean, that's what I've heard, actually. And actually, when I was in Florida a few years ago, I saw Flemo on the field, especially when he scored. I forgot who he scored against. Sometimes your attitude is a problem, and it can affect your ability to get into teams, especially the people who are influencing the team. I'm going to give you an example. Richard King. A couple of people have reached out to me about Richard King and his attitude, actually, about how his hand gestures and how he reacts to his keeper, other people, even during the Unity Cup, to say, if scouts are looking at you, they won't appreciate those gestures. They won't appreciate those reactions. They won't appreciate what they consider to be lack of emotional intelligence, actually. So I would say to Richard King, even though you're a good footballer, you have to watch how you behave. Because you may not verbalize certain things, but your actions can say 1,000 words, and coaches and scouts will pick that up and say, how can these people fit into my team, even though they can play? Unless you're an exceptionally talented person, and I've said this before, in any discipline, you have to conduct yourself a certain way so people can understand that, you know what, the personal element of you can marry with the skill set that you have that's required for the job. Yeah, I mean, he makes certain gestures, which is just like, is he a team player? And he does in the JPL too, because I watch him. So Reggae Boyz, this stupid computer, says he can see previous scores and call him back to take a look at himself. Even if Williams is coming off injury, is in top shape, hasn't played 95 games. Yeah, but I think he has support about who he picks, right? I don't think he just does. Look, you should leverage your assistant coaches and your support staff in terms of how you make decisions, right? You're not the island by yourself. But fans have the right to question certain selections. And let me say something. See some of these Reggae Boyz fans? They spend so much time watching every single player who has any inkling or possibility to play for the national team. They know the players inside out. Some people tell me about games they watch in League One. I'm like, people call me an elitist. I don't watch certain games. I only watch some Charlton games because I know I was told about Tyrese Campbell. I said, let me watch him a couple of games. Some of them are replays. But I don't sit down watching League One football. I mainly watch EPL football. Or I may watch Marseille because I watch Greenwood, right? But not a ton. So I am trying to be fair to players and say, I don't know all the players intimately. And I assume the coach saying has wise scout, or what do you call it, to do his assessment, even though I think he should go to games. I was impressed with him going to the stands. Those of you who beat the coach because he went to the stands in the Unity Cup, I was the opposite. I was like, the best way to see the game is not at ground level. You miss things. You can then go up top and say, how is he moving off the ball? What's his spatial awareness? How does he recover? Does he run back well? Does he recognize danger? Right? You can see these things, obviously, if you're high up with that view, where you see everything and game looks simple, and it's more complex than when you have that view. But I didn't have a problem with the coach going up there. So I'm sure it helped him and informed his decision about certain things. But I think the coach has to manage what he says better. I must say that. I'm not impressed sometimes when you get asked questions and you go off on a pivot, you go off on a tangent someplace, and it doesn't really substantively answer the questions. And Simon, I'm sorry, Simon, that's for you, Simon, too. I'm gonna say that in public, Simon. That's for you too. People are gonna lose confidence in the press conferences. People are gonna watch it because they love their team. They're gonna lose confidence in the coach if you ask him a question and he doesn't answer the question. Right? Some people may think it's cute. It's not some corporate environment. This is football. You can manage certain things. You can't answer certain things because it's the nature of the beach, but some things you can answer. And a lot of times, you just shake your head saying, okay, he didn't answer that question. He didn't answer the question. Your question is, what question did he answer sufficiently? Not good. Some people here like Ravel, Lord Ravel. So Reggae Boy says, let me just put this up, people. I think I lost something here. He said, I don't mind the question about players, but I don't like that we beat player selected because the coach didn't select our ball. No, I don't think we beat player selected. I think what we do is we question the comparative between who was selected and who was not, right? Nobody's saying BC Atkins can play football. No one is saying Dixon can't play football. No one is saying Ming can't play football. No one is saying that. What they're saying is this. Is Ming a better option than a cover? Is Dixon a better option than Tyrese? They're both in the team, so that's not even a question. Is Atkinson, who's placed in midfield, not midfielder, a better answer than a Muddersill, for example? Is Romaro Williams a better option than Muddersill? Now, what we have here, though, which is very concerning, we are doing no comparative between local players. It's diaspora versus local. That's what we end up all the time, And it's not because we may not have local players in the same position. It's because people are suspicious and skeptical of the selection process. And a lot of times, we have local players excluded like a Fleming, but some people just don't rate the player, so they're not upset. But if there are other players like a Muddersill, who people have been advocating for to play for Jamaica for a while now, if you go on JD channel, JD is, I think, pretty close to him. It does beg the question. And I hate it. I hate the local versus diaspora. I would like to say, you know what? Should Russell be in the team versus Palmer? That's what I would like. Or should Gray be in the team versus Tyrese Campbell? What we end up with is Tyrese Campbell and Dixon at the same club, right? What we end up with is Ming versus, say, a cover, for example. Cover can play multiple positions. I don't like that because I am trying to diffuse the whole local versus diaspora. I want it to go away. But we have to talk about it. Because it's almost as if we have no choice. So Hercott says, how many chances has Fleming had? Many. We move on. We're looking to young players. So Flemo is no different from, say, a number of players who, maybe even a Norman Campbell, who's been in and out of the team somewhat, not in the team of late, right? There's some other players who, say a Roof, for example. Roof, who came in during COVID, injury prone, but is supposed to fit now, is not even being considered. Some players not even considered. If they're a diaspora player, they're not even on people's lips. If they didn't come and hit the ball off the cover, if they're a good player, like a Jamalo, for example, in and out, hasn't been in lately. One could say Jamalo is as good as some of the players who are locally based or local players who are in the team, right? But nobody's beating the door for Jamalo because he didn't overly impress. Let's be honest. So there are diaspora players who came in, didn't hit the ball off the cover, and people are like, but they're not beating on the door for them. They may mention it, but some local players, the door is being kicked down and people are very upset, right? So we have to be fair, and I try as much as possible to be fair to say, if we have all these players, let's try to assess them based on merit, and let's advocate for them based on merit. Just advocate for them based on merit. Don't advocate based on where they're born, because they're all Jamaican, they all got their passport, as they wouldn't be playing. Right? Christopher says, Cranky, how many minutes did Dixon play in the league? He made the bench 2 times when players were injured, and Motherwell have the second most goal contribution in League One and start both games. Yeah, there are some players who have potential, and Dixon is one of them, to be honest. I like Dixon. Let me say that again. I like Dixon, but I think he's been given a lot of opportunities because he came through the schoolboy system. He did really, really well, like Whisper did, and he has an upside to him. And he's getting the benefit of the doubt. Let's be honest. If Motherwell grew up to the Jamaica system, Motherwell would be in the team. If Motherwell came to high school and JPL player, and he's in League One, doing really well, he'll be in the team. No doubt. No doubt. So you can explain it. The explanation is, people have said this numerous times, there's a quota system. I've been saying this from day one. So we got to get used to the quota system. Don't to me, is it 7 in the quota system? Is it 5? I don't know. But there is a quota system. I heard the technical director, or no, I think director, the head of the technical committee said there's no quota system for the national team. That's nonsense. Even a blind man can see that. It's their system. It's their team. We're just fans and we support the team. So Reggae Boyz says, no, let me put this up. This is a very important one to put up. The Dixon narrative is done and buried. He showed that he belonged. Yes, he did. But here's a question for you. Does he show that did Motherwell get a chance to show he belonged? And Dixon is in the under 21 for Charlton in League One. Motherwell is a starter and scoring goals. Did Dixon play any League One game coming to score a goal? You guys don't know this, but at Charlton, they were scratching their head about Tyrese Campbell and about Dixon. Like if Tyrese Campbell was in this team and Dixon was here, you would hear more noise, actually. Much more noise. Because it would make sense to anyone. Now, Motherwell is a different case, right? But there are people like Chris Smith who watch these players who are asking fair questions. We can't hide from the question. I like Dixon. I've said this numerous times. I like Dixon. I like King. I like Cephas. I put McGee on hold because he's not playing well, so I can't advocate for him more. But if I'm doing comparison, the coach talks about players in form. So let's say this. Let's say this, Reggae Boyz blogger. Shamar Nicholson is not in form. He got dropped, right? Dixon, how do we know if Dixon is in form when he's not getting game time in League One? What basis do we use to put Dixon in the team, Reggae Boyz blogger? And this is not beating Dixon, because I like Dixon. I've said this numerous times. What's the basis for Dixon being in the team when he's not playing League One football? The point I'm trying to make people is this. We got to be fair. We got to be objective. We have to be agnostic about supporting anybody and just support the process and just trying to assess the process and provide a perspective. Let's stop being biased. Dixon played well against Nigeria. Dixon has a good tournament. That's not a problem. It's fair. It's fair. But if you're going to compare Dixon's, the coach can have always. You can't say form matters. And somebody brought it before, and it's a fair point. You say form matters, but Robert is playing in a bush league. So how do you just say rather than form? Or you say Shamar is playing in a decent league, but he's not getting game time. I am confused about the criteria we use. I'll be honest. The criteria we use is I don't understand. And this question is coming from so many people. A Reggae Boyz vlogger. I got on my phone blowing up about this question. A lot, and the coach was asked this question. CC asked the question. I think Ketarak asked the question. I'm asking the question. I'm not asking the question as much, actually. I haven't watched Mothercell enough to ask the question. I got text in my phone saying, how come Mothercell is not a team? So are so many friends wrong, Reggae Boyz vlogger? I like Dixon, so I can't beat Dixon. I don't want to beat Dixon at all. But that's for example. Take Dixon out the mix. Romario Williams. Does Romario Williams determine have a better chance to play, or should play versus Mothercell? What's the basis for the assessment? That's why people are confused. We don't know what the basis for the assessment is. Right? We don't know what it is. It's not about Dixon. Because what you're doing, we all do. Anyone complain about Brown people? You know why they complain about Warner Brown? You know JPL? Because he played against St. Vincent, even though they're not the best team, he produced. Brilliant goal, got a penalty. So he played a limited time, he got a penalty. He played a good game. He only touched the ball 12 times, but I think he lost it like with 1 or 2. He had a good game because he wasn't getting much service. You embrace players who come and produce. Now, Dixon hasn't got much playing time in the national team, frankly, apart from, say, against Dominica, for example, where he scored, right? When you play against a better team, you don't get much playing time. But when you have another player who's playing in a similar league and getting game time and scoring goals and having assists, and you have him who's on the other 21 and barely make the bench, it's fair to ask the question. So the question, what me or Ross will say? Question: do you drop a player who's playing well for you based on his club form, Cranky? He ain't got no club form because he ain't playing. What are we talking about, Rob Smith? He only plays for the national team. He's playing under 21. There's no form to compare. And here's the question: was your process of giving opportunity fair? That's what DEI in America is about. That's why a lot of people are upset. DEI is not about hiring black people or Asian people versus Caucasian people. DEI is saying level the playing field. Give everybody an opportunity. Make sure when you're doing an interview, for example, when I was in corporate, your slate of candidates is a diverse slate of candidates. And you select the best person. Some people make it to be about selecting unqualified. My doctor said something like that. That's why I canceled her. Unqualified black people. And they focus on black versus all the other races, Hispanic, who were for the DEI. The analogy I'm making is that what we want is an even slate. Mothercell, Dixon, Williams, Burrell, all those players get a best chance to impress, and then you select them. If Dixon's playing League One, not getting any game time, and Mothercell is playing League One and getting game time, the question has to be answered. We can't run from the question. I know some people don't like it, but it's not beating Dixon. I'm gonna say it 1,000,001 times. I like Dixon. Dixon's enthusiasm. He's always smiling. He scored last weekend. He played well. He played better than some of the other players who were guaranteeing the team, like Russell to me in the 2 games. Russell played a really good game in Trinidad. Didn't see him in the 2nd game. And people saying busy. I don't know what the criteria is for selecting players anymore. I'm confused. Before the game says, Cranky Live, do you believe the Reggae Boyz can win the next 2 games coming up with this squad? I think the BVI game, they should, but I'm always apprehensive when it comes to us playing Dominica and struggling. Guatemala is going to be a tough game, people. Tough game. Every team outside the top 3 in CONCACAF who are going to the next round, and we're not guaranteed to go to the next round, I realize this is the best chance ever to make a World Cup, ever. El Salvador, Honduras, forget about Panama and Costa Rica, because they've been there, right? Trinidad, Haiti, Curacao, Guadeloupe, they all realize it's the best chance ever to make a World Cup. Even the St. Vincent's of the world, the Republic too. And they're going to try to get them in. And the players who are part of that contingent and who are diaspora players for those countries all realize that the opportunity that's being presented, and they all want to play. We're the only ones fighting amongst ourselves, and maybe Trinidad to a lesser extent, about diaspora versus local. All those people want are the best players because they realize the chance is here to make the World Cup. Still say Guatemala can't qualify. Okay, so I maybe missed that one. But the point I'm trying to make is that if you're Haiti, if you're Trinidad, if you're Jamaica, if you're Guatemala, if you're El Salvador, if you're Honduras, and you have a chance, you're going to do what's necessary to get there. So every single team here, even St. Vincent of the world, we're trying to get to the Gold Cup, gave us a hard time. So I'm not taking anything for granted. Would I expect us to win both games? Yes. But my concern for my team is this. Now, look, a lot of fans will get comfortable and feel good about that concern being alleviated by the Nigeria performance. But it was the best environment. Great crowd. A lot of players were at home. The field was beautiful. It's what they used to. The facility was beautiful. They didn't have to travel far, at least by flying. All the things around them were in their favor. You come to CONCACAF, the field is difficult. It's more physical game. Referees don't make certain calls. You never know. So your friend said, when this gets 5 minutes stretch time, he presses during run football, making shit happening. Oh, Lord. This kind of analysis is what frustrates me. This type of analysis is what frustrates me. And you ask why. But first of all, the forwards in Unity Cup got poor service. Cephas, sometimes Dixon, especially Burrow, they didn't get the best service from the midfield. They weren't dominating possession. Secondly, Dixon played both games. He played a lot of minutes. His timeline was not compared to Muddersill. The coach said Muddersill was going on vacation, right? So it was probably mentally wasn't there. But here's the thing, you're a fan club. You haven't compared Muddersill. Here's the thing, people, it frustrates me. And also, I may also be to be criticized for this. We're using 2 games as the basis and criteria to assess these players. The whole season they play in League One didn't matter. That don't count. All that matters is a Unity Cup game if they get with Nigeria. Nothing else matters. That's amazing. So your whole resume doesn't matter apart from 2 games where you get 15 minutes. That's how you're going to be judged. Jesus Lord. How do we get here? How do we get here? This kind of reasoning frustrates me. So because you may like Dixon, I'm gonna call you out your fan club. I think you probably like Dixon. And you should like Dixon. He's a good player. But your comparative is not a fair comparative. Let's try to compare apples to apples, right? And orange to oranges. Let's not compare things which are mutually exclusive and say the comparative makes sense. Because it doesn't. It doesn't. Mr. Man says, Cranky, do you believe when they say call JPL players because first choice wasn't available to save money, use local guy narrative? I don't think that matters anymore now. I think that's out the door. And why do I say that? Well, think about it. JPL players went to England. They had alternative in England who were right next door. It cost thousands of dollars to fly to England. So I think JFF now have more resources. I don't know who paid for the plane tickets, whether the Unity Cup organizers did. I don't think that's the issue anymore, right? I think that issue is set up. JFF has like 12, 13 sponsors that I'm aware of, maybe more. Money's rolling in. They can afford to play for players. So the financial constraint that we have, I think Dennis Chum and his team, though Dennis is no longer there, have done a great job of trying to rectify that situation. The performance of the Reggae Boyz in terms of Copa America and Gold Cup and how far they go into these tournaments and Nations League has also helped to generate more revenues. They get revenue from the government, from FIFA. So they get money in, and the money actually has to be spent. So they got to manage how they spend versus their revenue generation. But no, I don't think that's an issue anymore. Yeah, I think the coach will explain Marmaria's, but I don't think he's going to get much game time. Your resume gets you looking. Yes, fan club, but I don't disagree with that perspective. But was the time equal? Did Muddersill get 70 minutes in both games, or did Muddersill get 50 minutes in one game? That's the question. So you're judging somebody who probably played, 130 minutes, but somebody played 15 minutes. That can't be a fair comparison. Right? And your fan club say he wants a fair process. That's what we all want, your fan club. I've said this a million times. I don't care. I do not care where the players are from. I want to be a fan, like you should be. Just have us win and win and win. Play well and win. That's all we should want. The team to play well and win. Now, we believe we have a good perception as to who would make us play better or play best, right? We're going to have that view. And we're entitled to a view. It won't always align. But I think a lot of us have watched enough football to be able to discern which players we believe should play over other players. It doesn't mean, and I know Reggae Boyz vlogger may be saying this, it doesn't mean we're anti any player. Most fans are not anti any player. Some fans have bias versus diaspora versus local on both sides, and that's understandable. That's expected. But I don't think anybody's anti any player. They may be anti the player's ability, how they perceive it to be. And I've always said this, we shouldn't say a player is not good. We may say the player is not at the level that would enable them to be being a team at the expense of someone else or to perform against certain opponent. I'm not touching this one. This is like a hand grenade. I'm not touching it. I'm just leaving it out there. I'm not touching it. And your fan club, no, he's been trying to come in for a while, your fan club. Sorry. A lot of players have been trying to come in for a while. Whether it's PICA process or pushback, players are trying to come in. I don't think sometimes it's the player who's not trying to come in. Brandon said, Cranky, bring someone based on club form with no international experience or go with the family player that prefer your coach. The players also. Yeah, it's a fair point, Brando. I still think it's hard, though, you don't know when do you give the player then a chance, Brando, to play? That's the question. When do you give them a chance to play? That's the question you ask yourself, right? It can't just be about, well, the player hasn't played with the national team, so we don't know what he can do. Well, you got to find out. I thought in the Unity Cup, I think Unity Cup was winning. Here's what's interesting. It's a catch-22 situation with the Unity Cup. The fact that we won the first game and want to win the final preclude our ability to look at more players and give them more time because we want to win and he want to go with the same team that gave him the best chance to win, in his view. If we had lost the first game, like Trinidad did, and we'd have seen probably all the JPL players and some of the other diaspora players who were trying to get to the team. So we'd have a much better view, but then you wouldn't have a like-for-like comparison in terms of what opponent you play against, right? Nigeria is a much tougher opponent than Trinidad, as shown based on the tournament. So it's a catch-22 situation. But I do believe that the feeling, as you heard from the question that were asked, or the preface to the questions that was provided by some of the media personnel in the press conference, people are euphoric about what transpired at Unity Cup and how well we did against Nigeria. People are even thinking about Trinidad, right? I think people walk away saying, if we play this well against Nigeria, which didn't have all the best players, but had a very, very good team, I don't care what anybody says, a very good team, and we played with a number of players, or supposedly better players missing, I say supposedly, because I'm not buying it for some of these players, or off form, then we believe we can compete in this region against some of the other teams. That's left to be seen. Right? That's left to be seen. Big Deal says, take up Marcel. How's Stewart feel right now to see scoring goals younger and see an old man with him doing something, getting called over? Yeah, the coach doesn't control some of this. Doesn't mean he's not in charge, but I think he has to get information from his people about certain players. And you hear what the coach says, people, which is interesting. Really interesting. We asked about Ravel. He's basically telling Ravel, if you want to play in this national team, you got to come play closer to home so I can see you more. You can't play in some league where I can't watch you. That's what he's basically telling him. And that should be for all players, actually, for that consideration. If you want to be in the national team, you have to play in a league where I can easily watch you play, because I'm not coming to any games. Because I don't go to games. I use Wise Scout, or what you call it. That's the way I view it. Right? Hala Madrid think we should have beaten Trinidad 10-3. I don't agree with that. I disagree with Reggae Blood about this. I think if Nigeria had a full contingent of players, they compete. And Ghana, no, I mean, Ghana was better than Nigeria to me. That's not a fair. No, I don't agree with that, Reggae Boyz Vlogger. They ain't no 14 in CONCACAF better than those two teams. US, Mexico, Canada could compete with them, but I don't think they're better than them. I don't. Even though the ranking may not say it, I don't think they're better. Triple E says, I'm going to try to make sense of the selection. Dixon got selected because he has more experience representing the national team. That being said, it gives him selection choice over Mothersill. I can't make sense of it, Triple E. I thought we use a player's, because the national team only meet 3 or 4 times a year. We get more international windows now, given World Cup coming up. And if Dixon played for the national team, he ain't getting no game time. What are we talking about, people? We're talking in circles, and we're not making any sense. Dixon ain't getting no game time with the national team when we play the better teams. He played against Dominica. Most games he gets 5 minutes and runs around for 5 minutes. But I don't want to keep harping on Dixon because this is not about Dixon. Good player. I like the player. Young player. Has a lot of potential. Let's hope he does well. So let's move on from Dixon. I don't want to talk about Dixon anymore because it may seem like Cranky and the chat is beating Dixon, and that shouldn't be the case. And we're trying to make a case for Mothersill at the expense of Dixon. There are other players there. You could say Mothersill versus Warner Brown, Mothersill versus Romario Williams, who's the one probably should be more questioned than anybody else, to be honest. BM said, Cranky, the coach didn't want Ravel in his team. He wasn't even in the 60-man pool. Was pressured by YouTubers to pick Ravel. The coach is dishonest. Yeah, I don't know who pressured him, to be honest. I don't think it's only YouTubers who asked the question. And I don't want to for YouTubers to take credit and feel like they are so influential, because we're not. We have some influence, and we're listened to in some quarters, even though they think JFF think we're toxic. Let me say this, and I know this for a fact. Well, not a fact. I was told this by credible sources. JFF think YouTubers in general are toxic. And if you're part of the YouTube family, they think we're all toxic. They think we're all toxic. The JFF think we're all toxic in YouTube. What JFF doesn't realize is that when you are in the public domain and you're thought about, sometimes negative, sometimes positively, at least you're being talked about. I don't see TVJ and CVM and those are trying to carry JFF 24/7, making them relevant 24/7. Now, yes, some of the discussion is not positive, but if they did a better job, it would be more positive. If the JFF did a better job in a lot of areas, we'd be more positive, right? And by the way, the ladies play this evening, people. I think it's what, 7 p.m. Is it 7 p.m. Jamaica time? It's going to be 8 p.m. US time. Let me just check and make sure. But don't forget, the Reggae girls play this evening. I know they're not getting the love that they deserve. My concern is that they're playing the US and the coach is not there. That's another thing JFF needs to explain, JFF. I'm sorry, got to bring it up. You have to explain why the coach is not at the game. It's a fair question to ask. It just is. Trying to find the game. I don't see it here, but I know it's today. I'm sure it's on JFF Live. Jamaica, USA, it's on Fubo TV, Universal. Let me see where it is in the Caribbean. I don't see it's international. It's on YouTube. So it's on Max, Westwood One Sports, United States is on a bunch of. It's on Peacock in the US, TNT USA. It's on a lot of channels in the USA. And they say international is YouTube, so you can watch the Reggae Girls this evening. I would not be able to do the game because I would be busy, but hopefully they hold their own. It's gonna be a tough game. Big D said Dixon. No, I don't want to know what. Big D says Dixon supposing the team. The problem is how when they call up over Mothersill or even Stewart. That's the real question. Yeah, I know. Look, you can't beat the coach for all the players because he doesn't know how to play still. Sherman Scott, you and your YouTube friends can't get Dixon out of the team. So Sherman Scott, your perspective that want Dixon out of the team, Sherman Scott. So Sherman Scott, you don't watch my channel, basically. You don't watch my channel. Because you would make that statement if you watch my channel. And we shouldn't be afraid, people, to be uncomfortable in certain situations. You always hear me say, get comfortable with the uncomfortable. So when you have a comfortable situation, embrace them and address them and be logical in your thinking and your communication. Don't hide from it. It's our job to ask the difficult questions, to challenge situations, and to get in perspective that may provide more clarity, which we're not getting from the coach. So Sherman Scott, if Motherson is playing League One and doing really well, and Dixon's on the bench for his club and barely on the bench, why wouldn't anybody ask that question? Or Romario Williams, who people are not seeing, and the coach saying he needs to see you, but he's in the team. Why would people ask that question? Now, the way the narrative come across is, well, you're beating local players as usual. And people who are locally sensitive, I want to take offense to that. That's their prerogative. We all like what we like. Right? You all like what you like. Lone Wolf says, we don't really think about YouTube. YouTube is a force for positive change in Jamaican football. The English fan dog out the English FA. The FA is not about people. I'm telling you something, people, which is interesting. I don't think people realize how certain fan base engage with their national associations or their club teams, which is 10 times more toxic than our YouTubers are for Jamaica. 10 times more toxic. And they sometimes get less grief. At one point, when AFTV, when Arsene Wenger was doing well for Arsenal, you have all Simon Jordan and Neville and all those hating on AFTV because it was toxic. Even some fans want to fight AFTV personnel who were doing the interviews because maybe they're too toxic. Fans will be appreciative. I bet Liverpool fans are much more cohesive than Arsenal fans today, right? And I bet Man U fans are less cohesive than Liverpool fans. Why? Because Liverpool just won the Premier League. Man U has won. Man U's been in 5 finals in 5 years. They've won 2 trophies or 2 or 3 trophies, and their fans are losing their mind because the team can't compete at the highest level. Arsenal fans haven't won anything in 5 years, and they're losing their mind, even though the team look really, really strong. Fans are going to focus on outcome, and they want to win, and they want the best players to make them win, and they want fairness in the process. They want an egalitarian system. They don't want things to be biased. They don't want quotas. They don't want undue influence on the team. They want a team that's going to give the best chance to win. And that's why they're fans. So, yeah. J. Ross says, Simon doing too much to me. The coach answered this one follow-up. Man acting like the coach. It's his job, actually. It's his job to protect the coach and make sure the coach is ready. So it's his job. You can't beat somebody for doing their job, no. But in doing his job, he sometimes can be restricted. I'm be fair to Simon. Simon, give me a chance to ask questions. I'm not going to be, am I happy about asking one question? No, but I can't be overly greedy. Give me a chance. And sometimes I only know to press the button to raise my hand. And give me a chance to ask questions. So I can't hear beat Simon. I think Simon does a good job. It's going to be a game between Simon and YouTubers, not YouTubers, and the media. How do we get around Simon to get to the coach, to get him to answer? It's that pull and tug, people. We got to figure it out. We have to figure it out. We have to. Because the coach needs to answer the tough questions. Anyway, people, I'm not going to stay much longer. I think I've been on here for what? About 2 hours. I'm going to say this. It's been brilliant. Each of you. Before you go, just hit the like button, people, please. Yes, Paul Edwards, it's 5 years we have won a cup. Arteta won a cup with Emery's team when we beat, what, Chelsea? Did we beat Chelsea and Man City on a run there? He won a cup in his first year. 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. 5 years we haven't won anything. Nothing in 5 years. Edwards. And fans are losing their mind. And fans are saying this is the last year. Because if you're going to play well but not win anything, what's the purpose? Might as well break the team down and start over. Before the game has a question. Simon, give me a chance to ask questions. No, what I mean by that is this. So I was struggling with the raising hand situation, and I text Simon and said, I want to ask a question. He could have said, you know what? You got to raise your hand. I did try to raise my hand. I was just messing up. So yes, he gave me a chance to ask a question, even though the protocol was for everyone to go through the process. And he would not give me preferential treatment, but he allowed me to use a different communication mode to get to him to ask questions. Because I was upset one time. I didn't get to ask a question. I said to him, that's not fair. My hand was raised. And he said, your hand wasn't raised. I didn't see it. So, yeah. So before the game, stop beat me about this. You make it seem like me have something else me I say. Hey, let me say some people. Some of you guys decipher. Let me say something. Sitting in these chairs, you guys beat YouTubers, right? But something not fair. When you're in this chair, so I'm here by myself, and you're 200 plus people, and you all have different views, and sometimes much more knowledge than me on certain things. So if I say one thing which be the other line, I get beaten, and I'm laughing, thinking sometimes you should. You know what? I'm gonna let some of you guys who will give me a hard time sometimes come sit in this chair. I'm gonna give you access to come sit in this chair, and you run the program one of these days. Right? I'm gonna do that. If you want to run the program one of these days, even though I caveat what you say, that is not the Cranky Live show, it's your show. We'll put your name in bold lights. Tell me, we'll do it. So Reggae Boyz blogger, I'll give you a chance to run the program, and I'll just be in the background watching and comment in the comment section and be like you how I comment. I'm gonna comment like how you comment. Reggae Boyz blogger, you can have the floor. I'll give you access. You come on and you run the program for 2 hours straight, talking to your mouth is dry, you gotta drink water. So if any of you want to do that, people, let me know. We're gonna have, you know how they call radio stations will have a fan day, fan who want to be an analyst, and they'll bring them on and say run the show for a day. We can do that. And you can show me how easy it is. You guys think this thing is easy, and any fool can do it. Any fool can do it. So come. Put in your request to come run a program for 2 hours straight. Just keep talking and talking and talking, and deal with the comments when they criticize you. And you say Cranky too sensitive, which is true, by the way. And Cranky needs to show more maturity, which sometimes is true, by the way, because you get in his feelings. I don't disagree with that. But come sit in here and take all the hits that you take. A lot of comments are positive. Let me say that. A lot of people are in this chat, my chat in general are positive. But come sit. Come sit. We can do it. We can do it. But let me close down by saying, first of all, thanks everyone for being here. I try to come up with the news as quickly as possible, people. So sometimes you're not as prepared as you want to be, because when the news conference finishes and you're trying to come to market right away, it can be challenging. Yes, there are people much more knowledgeable than me on some topics, of course. Oh, you mean when I'm in New York, nobody's more knowledgeable than me? No. There are people much more knowledgeable than me on some topics, of course. But not the people who coach academies, actually. Not if you're running an academy, you're not more knowledgeable than me. Right? If you're coaching an academy in, like, say, the South, you're not more knowledgeable than me. But if you're someplace else, then I think you are. People are getting mad at Simon for protecting his coach. Don't get mad at Simon. Simon doing his job. Simon doing his job. People don't beat Simon. You got to figure out how to manage the situation and find a way how to get the. Let me say this: the coach don't want to answer the question. He ain't gonna answer the question. He's got to do a better job answering the question, though. It gets frustrating, right? But let me just close out by saying thanks for being here. I can't call any name because then I get in trouble. I'm gonna forget some names. But I'm gonna close out by saying thank you for being here. I appreciate you being here. I'm back in my old stomping ground in New York tomorrow. And then I got to think about the Jamaica trip, whether I should go down there or not, go watch my boys play Guatemala. That should be interesting. My hope is that the team is cohesive, people get together. Whoever's in the team is in the team, whether it's Dixon or Tyrese Campbell, they're there. Let's hope the coach pick his best 11, and let's hope they perform well. All right, everyone? Thanks for being here. Thanks for the support. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. If you haven't hit the like button, please do so. And if you haven't shared, please share the channel so others can watch it. Peace out. Thanks, everyone. Good afternoon. Later.
Cranky Life is the best to be now. For the best sports talk and it's free, yo. Cranky Life will be your guiding light by keeping you informed both day and night. Cranky Life, tell them. Cranky Life, heed them. Cranky Life, want them. Cranky Life. From the courts to the field, we'll never lose because Cranky has the hottest news. With expert analysis, we break it down. Our in-depth coverage is best in town. Cranky Life, kill them, cranky life, heed them, cranky life, want them, cranky life, cranky life where the sports is spicy, and where we keep the discussion lively, cranky life, get to know the name, because cranky analysis is never lame, cranky life, give me my cranky life, I want my cranky life, must have my cranky life, whether it's football or track and field, you know cranky is at the wheel. So join the journey through victory and defeat, and subscribe and don't miss a beat of cranky life. Kill them, cranky life, heed them, cranky life, want them, cranky life. If you're from England or USA, from Kingston or Bombay, from Kenya or Canada, Lagos or Havana, visit Cranky Live, tune into Cranky Live, like up Cranky Live, subscribe to Cranky Live, Cranky Live, coming to you on weekdays, Cranky Live sometimes on Sundays, pull up a chair and take a seat, because Cranky will always bring the heat, Cranky Live, me say fi tell them Cranky Live, me say fi heed them Cranky Live, on them Cranky Live, Cranky Life will be around. Cranky Life is the best in town. Me say fi eat them, me say fi want them, me say fi eat them, want them, eat them, want them. Cranky Life, cranky Life, eat them, want them, eat them, want them. Cranky Life, cranky Life. Eat them, want them, eat them, want them, eat them, want them. Cranky life, cranky life, cranky. Eat them, want them, eat them, want them, eat, want, eat them.